You've been doing the corkscrew the wrong way this whole time. Now let me teach you how to do it the right way. Here are the track conditions that the lap was set in. As we approach T1, the forward will be our brake marker, and we'll brake with our right hand side tires on the right side of the white line. Our goal is to treat this as a double apex. This will be our first apex. Then we'll let the car carry out to the wide side of the track. And the curb, again, is going to be our second apex. And we're going to run all the way out to the right-hand side curb. Move it on to T3. We're on the lookout for the 2-board. As you can see, we want to get the car to the left-hand side as much as possible early so that we can brake in a straight line for this corner. It's a very, very tricky corner. Probably the trickiest corner behind the corkscrew, just because the way it's shaped. A lot of people don't really realize the shape of this corner. It's a lot tighter than you think. We want to make sure we use all the track, and this is going to be a common factor in all the other corners. We want to use all the curbs. So left-hand side tires should be along the gravel here, on the edge of the white and blue curbing. And our apex is going to be right on the very edge of those sausage curbs. Those red sausage curbs, again, a common theme in this track. We want to stay away from them. We want to just be grazing them. And on exit, we want to use all the track. We can get away with a little bit of gravel on these tires. It's not really going to slow you down. This next corner is a very fast corner. We're on the lookout for the 2-board. We're going to be either tapping the brake or just a slight lift. It just depends how much speed you have through here. In this case, I do a slight, very slight brake, as you can see. Look how little brake there is there. It literally just happens for an instant. And again, we're aiming to graze this red curbing and using all the exit. And as we move on to T5, we're on the lookout for the 3-board. I want to be braking after the 3-board. This corner is important to get a good exit. There's a fairly long straight next after this. It's an uphill as well. So you want to make sure you get a good exit. You want to make sure you're on throttle as early as possible. So we're going to aim for apexing, again, on the right-hand side of this sausage curb. And we want to get on throttle a little bit earlier than that. As you can see, the throttle happens very early. The car will rotate. There's a compression there that gives you a little bit of grip. So just trust the car. Now we're getting into very tricky territory here. So this kink is probably one of the most dangerous corners, aside from the last sector and the corkscrew. A lot of times when you mess it up here, you end up in the wall. So, and also, if you end up in the middle of the track, someone else is coming right behind you at full speed. They're not going to be able to stop. So this potentially the end of the race if you make a mistake here. the LMP2 bottoms out hard on this right hand side curb. So you can use all of it, but you got to get off of it early. If you stay on this right hand side curb, I can't stress it enough, you're going to bottom out and then the car will not want to turn in. So therefore, you have to turn in fairly early. So start turning in before the 2 board, get off that curb, and as you can see, when I graze that sausage curb on throttle early, use all of the track on exit. Now, there's a caveat because this curb, it usually doesn't pose a problem to other cars, but for some reason, the LMP2 is just bottoming out tons here. So I found that if you use all the track here, bottoms out hard, you actually lose time going up the hill because the car is just rubbing on the ground and that friction is slowing you down. So I try to maybe use half of this. Half of it allows me to not bottom out and use most of the track. So I tried to adjust the setup, but honestly, it wasn't working. So I just adjusted my driving style. As you can see, I used all of the track on exit here. So, and you can hear the bottoming out. Just slightly, you can hear that scraping. So I lost a little bit of time coming up the hill here. For the corkscrew, here's what I promise you. You're gonna learn how to do the corkscrew properly. The first thing you have to do is, as you can see, get the car to the left-hand side of the track, right? Because the corkscrew is 3 corners, technically. It's a right-hander followed by a kink to a left-hander and then down to a right-hander. So technically, it's like 4 corners. That's why it's so complicated. Because there's a kink right at the top here that is invisible, because we're cresting and we're just blinded by this crest, we got to be on the left-hand side of the track so that we can brake in a straight line to the right-hand side of the track. That's why we get the car to the left-hand side. And of course, it's not going to be completely straight line, but we want to make it as straight line as possible. Initially, you're hard on the brake. As the car crests, you need to be coming off the brake, right? And then as it straightens out again, as it flattens out again, then you can get on the brake just a little bit more. And that's the reason why I slowed it down. You can see the pressure goes up a little bit. But I'm modulating a lot here just because I do not want to lock up. It's very easy to lock up, especially with LMP2 here. Early turn in, and we want to be running around right there with the left-hand side tires. Any more than that, you're going to get an off track. So as we're coming down here, as you can see, this is very blind. You can't really see where the track goes. So you're guessing. A good reference is these trees over here. You got these 2 trees and this other tree. If you're aiming for around this gap over here, right? If you're aiming for like this gap right there, then the car is fairly well lined up with the edge of the track. So let's see how well. And as you can see, as I'm coming down, because I lined it up properly, the car is running with the right-hand side tires a little bit on that gravel. And again, it bottoms out a little bit, but you can make it work. Don't use all the track on the left-hand side. Kind of stay to the middle is what you want to use because we want to get back to this right-hand side for this next part. Really important to get back to the right-hand side. We don't want to use all of it because the track kind of cambers out right here. So if you're too far out here, it's going to pull you to the right hand. You're not going to be able to take as much speed as you can through this left-hander. So this is all about feel right here. This is tough because we're looking for the apex and we're just releasing the throttle and we're just feeling it out with the steering wheel, with the force feedback to tell us when the car is loaded and when it's got the grip. And ideally, you want to get on throttle prior to the sausage curve, right? Way prior to the sausage curve. And this is also dangerous because just like at the kink, this curb here will pull you to the right-hand side. And if you dip a rear tire here, it can be dangerous. Like on this gravel right here, it can spin the car out to the left-hand side. So it's pretty dangerous. Be careful here. If you feel like the car is not going to turn enough, just, release the throttle a little bit and just live to fight another day. We want to get the car back to the left as fast as we can to open up this next corner. And we're not using all of this, again, because the car bottoms out. So we use about half of that curb on the left-hand side. And again, we're aiming for using all the curb at the apex, just grazing this red curb and on throttle before the curbing. As you can see, that's a common theme on the track. We're getting on throttle prior to the apex on a lot of these corners. The car will bottom out on this curbing on the left-hand side as well. So just be prepared for that. Want to get the car back to the right-hand side as much as possible. We're going to be on the lookout for this 3 board over here on the right-hand side. Trying to get the car to the right hand, plus straightening it out as much as possible so that we can break in a straight line. As you can see, didn't quite get the car completely straight. It's pointing a little bit to the left, so that's going to impact my braking performance here. But I tried to straighten it out as much as I could. And you want to get down to first gear, early turn in. You can run over this. This is pretty much the only sausage curb, in my opinion, that you can run over. I decided not to run over it completely here, but you can run over it. So there's multiple ways around this corner. Just make sure that you sacrifice the entry a bit, get a great exit, because this is the longest straight on the track and it leads to the best passing opportunity, which is at T1. Any other good passing opportunities? Probably the corkscrew is the other good one, and T5. So those are the 3 passing opportunities on this track, but very difficult to pass. So make sure you get a good quality.